everybody. This is Conrad Agramont, CEO here at Agile IT. Thank you again for joining us for another Agile IT Tech Talk. Today we have Allison Grimaldi, Microsoft strategist. So, we do these every week, actually, but for today, this is our last one for 2018. We've had a really great ride throughout this year. A lot of great content created both from Agile IT, Microsoft, and some other partners. And just want to thank everybody for participating and being part of those. And we're really looking towards the calendar for 2019 and have even greater content that I think you guys are going to enjoy. There's one that's going to be in January the 3rd, where Matt Sossman is going to talk about some spoofing. So that's going to be pretty interesting. But for today, we're really going to focus on Secure Score. We talk about it a lot, in terms of what it is and its importance. I think it's great to have Allison here to kind of walk through it and actually demo some of these pieces for you and kind of get an idea of what it's for, how you can use it. And like little interesting things in there to not just see what it is, but kind of quickly jump to it and start to make some changes so it impacts your company. One thing I like to note is that, well, you can say, well, who cares about a score, right? Especially if it's changing and it's not really required for my industry. I think it's good to just know where you are when if you're on track for something. So having something like that, that's not just subjective of like, I think I'm doing good things. Having that, and the fact that Microsoft is providing some real numbers that goes off of your data, I think is pretty powerful, and it's a really great way to show your organizations that you're making improvements and even how you compare with the rest of the industry in your area if it applies. So really great stuff. So Allison, really again, thanks for coming to talk about it, and take it away.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Conrad, and thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to talk to you guys about Microsoft Secure Score. Like Conrad said, my name's Allison Grimaldi. I'm a partner technology strategist with Microsoft, and this is going to be a really PowerPoint light demo heavy. So I'm just going to briefly cover a few slides, and then we'll get right into a demo. All right, so when we think about security in today's day and age, there's a lot of challenges. And when you think about the types of attacks that are happening, identity attacks alone are up 300% this year. And a lot of attacks are going through identity because they want to eventually, in the end, get to your information. So the question comes, how do you start to control that? There's so many different places you can use to control identity, lots of different places to manage it. So it kind of gets sometimes difficult to know where you go, what is secure and what's not secure. So Microsoft Secure Score can kind of be that aid to help give you insights into your security position, and not just your security position, but how you take steps to improve your position. How do you increase your security level? So Secure Score gives you the guidance to show you how to do that. So when you think about insights, it really gives you visibility into Office 365, EMS, and Windows 10 features. It'll tell you what you have enabled, and then maybe what you should have enabled. It'll give you historical scores and trends, so what you were doing 3 months ago, what you were doing a month ago, and then you can also use that to compare, not just to your own data, but to other organizations, either of like size or maybe within the same industry. And then lastly, guidance. So knowing is the first part of the journey. You need to know what you need to do, but then how do you actually, how are you going to enact and deal with that? So you can model your ideal score, so where you want to be in terms of security, and then filter based on what's possible. Low user impact, maybe you want something that enables high levels of security, and this will all depend on your industry as well. Okay, so let's jump right into a demo. All right, so to get to Secure Score, you're going to go to securescore.microsoft.com. And that'll have that dashboard that I just had opened up. This will look different when you go to open it, and you will need to be an administrator in order to open this dashboard. So the very first thing you see when you open the dashboard is my Secure Score summary. So for my current tenant, I have a score of 115 out of 596. So I guess really, what does that mean? Well, first, that number is that 115 is based on all security features that I have enabled. Every feature I enable will give me either a full score or a partial score based on how much I have completed. That bottom number of 596 is that total score I can get, and this will be different based on each tenant. E3 users will have a different number than E5 users due to the number of settings that can be enabled and the higher level of security you get with E5. Up in the right-hand side of the screen, you see risk assessment. So based on where my features are turned on, which features are turned off, it'll tell me what I'm most currently at risk for. So things like password cracking, account breach, and elevation of privilege are my 3 highest attack breach risks. What I can do too is I can click on this and it'll give me some more information, what it really is, if I have questions on how do I work to resolve this. And you'll notice through Secure Score, that's going to be a really common theme, being able to click links to kind of discover more. All right, so if I scroll a little bit, you'll see these pie charts. The pie charts for Office 365 are on the left, and I currently, again, have the score of 115 out of 596. This just gives you a really easy representation of your current overall score as well as your current opportunities. You can also use this same screen for your Windows score, and this dives into Windows Defender ATP. So if you have other Windows tenants that are on the same login, you'll be able to see that score here. So over on the right, working from the right to the left, you'll see different bars. So these bars will cover various things such as the Office 365 average secure score. So this is out of all users. What this gives you is this gives you kind of a bar or a reference point to say, put your secure score against other users that are either in the same industry or the same seat size. So if you look at the number 36, that's just the average secure score of all users. And what the score of 36 tells me is that organizations are turning features off that will not only improve their security, but make their data and information more protected. The score 44, which is that blue bar, shows the average seat size secure score. So it looks like for my average seat size, which says right below, it is 6 to 99 seats. The average secure score for that is around a 44. So my score of 115 blows both of those out of the water. So I am already having more security features turned on than the average tenant. So diving into the actual score. So what does this score mean? What does it do for me? And what features are kind of tied into my secure score? So there's this bar that you can kind of drag to the left and then drag to the right. And you can use this to pick what's not only realistic, but what is maybe low-hanging fruit to attack and use. So this is an aggressive approach, a score of 791, and you'll see a total of 63 actions there. So obviously going to require an incredible amount of work in order to be able to get this score of 791. We can bring and dial that back a little bit to a balanced attack. So it covers the basics, but then also has some more in-depth choices. So you'll see 32 actions. I've almost cut that number in half. But if you're really just looking for a beginning starting point, you can go down to basic. So really high value actions that don't have a lot of user impact. So the end user isn't going to see the effects of it or again be impacted. It's really the best place to start if you're looking to improve your secure score, any of the basic actions. And you'll see that total number came all the way down to 8, which is definitely much different when we were looking at the aggressive approach. I'm going to bring this back right into the middle so I can show you what a balanced approach will give you. So these actions, what are these actions? If I scroll down a little bit more, you'll see 36 actions in the queue, and my pending score is 547. So if I were to complete these 36 actions, my score would go all the way up to 547. So let me just click on this first one here, require MFA for Azure AD privileged roles. I click that and then it gives me a description. So if I was maybe wanting more information on, well, what does that mean for my organization and what will this protect me against? I can read this through right here. At the very bottom, it also shows me 5 out of 5 privileged roles don't use MFA. So that is specific to my tenant. So none of my users are using MFA, and then that leaves me open to different threats like password cracking, account breach, and again, that elevation of privilege. And you'll see these are all linked, and then if I click them, I'll get that side pop-out window just like I did above. A new feature included in Secure Score are different compliance controls. So I can show more here. You'll see different FedRAMP, GDPR. It kind of shows you by enabling this what you're being compliant with. Also up here, you'll see different action categories such as identity. You might see data here. This really tells you, again, so identity is one of the biggest attack. It's growing by 300%. This will start to protect you against that. This will start to build your immunity towards the identity threats. The low user impact, this is again is a big portion, so you're not going to see any of the effects or questions from the end user. And then implementation cost is also low. And the score I can possibly get out of this is 50. And right now I have 0 of that because none of my privileged roles are currently using MFA or multi-factor authentication. If I were to enable 1, my score would go up to 10, 2, 20, so on and so forth. So maybe I wanted to do this. So if I wanted to dive into this, I don't need to search online and I don't need to kind of figure out, how in the end I can make this happen for my organization. You can just click Learn More. The Learn More button will give you instructions on what you can do to change this, how to add the policy, and again, that end effect for your users, because that's always the most important is what is this going to look like for my end user? So now if I click Launch Now, it really brings up the Azure Portal. So this ties into how connected everything is in the Microsoft ecosystem. I can be in the Office 365 portal for Secure Score, and it will open my tenant for Microsoft Azure policies where I can enact that policy. So really everything comes back and ties back in together. All right, let me hop back to the Office 365 Secure Score and close out this side window. So I'm going to just quickly scroll through some of the actions for a moderate score we can enable. You'll see some of these say not scored. That by no means it's unimportant. Anything that's in this list is important for the security for your organization. There just currently isn't telemetry to determine if this has been turned on or off. You'll see some of these as time goes on, the not scored will be removed as the telemetry is configured. So you'll see again, multi-factor authentication, consume audit data weekly. If I go ahead and click on that, it tells me the action cord category, user impact, and then the total possible score I can get out of it. And again, I have that learn more option, and it will tell me a little more about it. No effect to my users and other things that you're about to change. So it'll help with security breach scoping, investigation capabilities. Now, let's say this list was a little too hefty and you really didn't know, I don't know where to begin. There's a little drop down up here under the 36 actions. So you can pick maybe an action type, a user impact if you wanted to only show low user impact or low implementation costs. I'll go ahead and click on the low user impact. And I can see everything here in that list of the big 36, bring it down to 10. And maybe I can start by attacking these 10. If I complete these 10, you'll see my pending secure score change to 245. So I can move up from that 115 to the 245 by completing these. I'm going to scroll back up to the top of the page and we're going to move from dashboard over to score analyzer. So what the score analyzer does is it pulls up my score over a period of time and shows me graphically what my score has done. So this orange line at the top with the dots is my current secure score, and this bottom line is the average user's secure score. So you'll see I have a little bit of a dip here. I went from a secure score of 128, and then I went down to 103. But even when I came back up, I only came back up to 113. So we'll dive into that in a minute. Let me just kind of go down here. So I'm clicked on, the last click was the score of 113. And if I go down here, it tells me my score for December 2nd of the 571, and then walks me through what got me there. So I'm really light on app security. I'm really light on data security. And I mostly have identity security turned on. That's where a lot of my points will come from, and including device. And then it tells me my completed actions at the bottom, along with my scores, and then my incomplete actions. So it shows what I've done and my opportunity of what I can do. All right, so let's dive back into this change here. Maybe I want to know, how did I go from a 128 down 25 points just to come back up 10? There's a compare scores link right up towards the top of the page. So I can click on that, and then I'm going to set my dates. So the dates were November 28th to December 2nd. So I can see here, good. I mean, December 2nd, I turned something on that store user documents in OneDrive for Business, and that gained me 10 points. But for some reason on the 28th, I decided I didn't want to discover risky and non-compliant shadow IT applications, or I didn't want a custom activity policy for my organization. So I might want to maybe explore into this and learn a little bit more about why would I disable that, or why would an admin disable that? And I could even maybe choose to turn it back on. I really want this activity policy. It's only a moderate impact on my users. And again, I could click that launch now, and it'll bring me right into the portal for cloud app security, into the setting I'd like to change. So again, it shows that linkage of all of the Microsoft services tied together. So we'll go back over to my dashboard just for one final time to review the secure score summary. So we have our total score up here. We have our possible scores here from basic, balanced, and then all the way up to aggressive. And then down below, all of the actions we can do to accomplish a higher and more secure score. So I wanted to thank Conrad for having me here today. I am very happy to be a part of this, and I would be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Thanks, Allison. And I think that was really helpful. I think one of the things that we talk a lot about here at Agile IT is that security just isn't a feature you just turn on one time. It's a lifestyle, right? So part, I think, what's important, not just that secure score is telling you what your score is now, it's also showing that history, right? And then we can also kind of set a plan to say, hey, I want to do basic, then balance, and kind of continue to move down the line. But as new features come out from Microsoft, sometimes if there's a new product or new security capabilities, that changes that secure score, right? Because there's more capabilities. So that number a couple years ago, it used to be 200, 300, and 4 and 5. It just keeps moving up, which is a good thing. But again, it's that kind of continued life cycle, which is super important. So for us, we have Agile Security, one of our offerings, and part of that is on an ongoing basis checking secure score, because either to make sure that things are being validated. For us, it's Agile Security is actually a service that continues. We don't just do it one time and walk away, because again, this is going to change. So I like the secure score. The other thing that kind of mentioned that's maybe not kind of equally said, the ability to have secure score, as you look at the services, people, it's important because people are using this platform, and the fact that you were able to get this unified score, click into the different services. I don't think you could really get that if all your security features were a bunch of other vendor products. Doesn't mean you can't cobble it together, but you can't get this kind of unified view, go in and out of them and make updates. So that's why we, obviously for Agile IT, we really specialize in enterprise mobility plus security, and then the overall Microsoft 365. This is where it shows you where having these security things together allows you to have a secure score, allows you to see a trend, and allows you to quickly go in and make those updates as you need them for your organization. One thing I was going to point out, Allison, so it's kind of a question that was brought in here as well around compliance, because there's the compliance capabilities that it shows and how to make the updates, but there is a compliance center where we actually want to go in and document those and line up the right policy. So we want to do it and then document compliance center. Again, all of these things kind of working with one another, because that was the question around how does compliance center align. They're not directly connected, but you could see there where they're kind of loosely connected.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll show you the different types and levels of compliance you can achieve, and then you can also echo those in the compliance center. Exactly.
Perfect. Okay. Let's see if we have any more questions that's come in.